Okay, good morning. Good afternoon, Mr. Daniel Pebble. And would you like to tell me something about yourself? Like, since how long you have been training the students?
So I've been coaching I've been teaching really since the age of 16, and then I've been head coach at Marple Swimming Club for about 10 years now, and then I've been coaching people with various disabilities, and obviously non-disability swimmers, non-disability going up to national level, disability swimmers obviously representing Great Britain over here in Paris, so yeah.
All right, that's great. And so, do you feel like the athletes with intellectual impairment, is it beneficial for them to train with the normal non-disabled athletes, or do they need to be trained separately?
Yeah, so I was a swimmer myself, and swam at the Paralympics, and I swam in a mainstream club for many years. So that teaches you like a lot of obviously the social side skills, all of that. But it's also good to swim in a mainstream club, as long as the coach can put things in place to make sure that you don't get in a stressful situation, or everybody's on an equal playing field really. The benefits of swimming in a mainstream club are just more than I can list here really, but there are a lot more benefits than negatives. So.
All right, so I would take that as it's more beneficial for them to
definitely
train together. All right,
definitely more beneficial. You get a lot more out of it. The social side, they get teammates that will help them out. They get just a network behind them. Whereas if you swim in a disability club, not all of them, but a fair few of them I've seen, they strive to make them happy and everything, which is great. Which what we do in the mainstream, but we're also striving to get better, to get to PB. So.
all right, okay. And since you have trained non-disabled athletes and disabled athletes and intellectually impaired athletes, so what kind of specific training do you adapt to train the intellectually impaired swimmers?
It varies swimmer to swimmer, and it's basically work out how they best understand. So, for example, with Rachel, it's all about speaking slowly, making it simple. Once you got something right, repeat it so it sinks in properly. Once she's got the hang of it, to not just forget about it, keep going back over the same skills. When she first came with me, for example, she couldn't use the pace clock, and now she knows to go on the red top or to go on the red 30 or so on and so forth. So it's about just putting things in place, making it simple to understand. When she first came with us, she only understood lengths. So, for example, instead of saying 100, we would say 4 lengths. Whereas now she understands when you just say 100, what you mean by that. So it's just about taking things slower, and getting them to appreciate everything. And it comes very natural to myself, with me being a S14 disability swimmer myself. I can relate quite easily, and not get annoyed if I have to say things over again. It's just about, instead of repeating it, how can I say it differently? So, yeah.
All right. And do you have to take special care of the training schedule? Like, do you have to train them more than the non-disabled athletes, or do they have to rest more, or their diet? Do they have any consideration on that?
So physically, no, they can do exactly the same. As a mainstream athlete. But mentally, you can see sometimes it takes a bit more out of them. So you just let them maybe talk to them about something else for a minute whilst they
Yeah.
just relax. But the training stays the same. It's just about making sure you're looking after their mental well-being as well as their physical well-being.
Yeah, all right. And the intellectually impaired people, those who are not into sports, okay, do you feel the intellectually impaired athletes who take part in sports, they have an advantage over those people?
Yeah,
Yeah?
definitely. Because it gives you a platform to succeed on.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be medals, that can be personal best times, it can be being able to swim properly, proper front crawl, you know, in a
Yeah.
public session. We've all seen somebody that looks better than the others, so it gives them a bit of a boost. As well as, you know, you get to meet people all the time, friends. It gives you a very good, easy subject to speak to people that you don't know about. You know, I swim, I do this, or I run, I do this. You know, and in training we try and encourage that to mainstream athletes to understand and to ask them, you know, how did you get on, or do you understand that set? So my guys now will take care of Rachel a lot without me actually having to explain anything differently, you know.
All right. And one more question is like, do you feel like the physically disabled or physically impaired athletes or the people are more easily accepted by the society than the intellectually impaired athletes or people?
Yeah, definitely. It feels like it's changing.
Yeah.
You know, people are starting to understand it properly. But definitely, for the simple reason, if you can see something,
Yes,
you accept
exactly.
it straight away. You know. But it feels like we're starting to break them barriers. We're starting to, one for a better word, understand more. You know, we've always had people that understood, but it feels like we're getting the name out there now. We're starting to appreciate, you know, all
Yeah.
the different types of swimming.
Yeah, okay. And what do you think, what kind of platform, any kind of sporting events, especially for the intellectually impaired athletes, it's providing? Any kind of sporting events in their life? What's the role of it?
What do you mean by say that again?
Like, for example, the INES Championship or
Yeah.
the Paralympics or Special Olympics, any kind of sporting events,
Yeah,
mega
yeah.
events. What kind of role do you think these events play in the intellectually impaired athlete's life?
Oh, massively, you know. Like I said, it gives them a platform to really shine and to show people that actually, you know, I can do stuff. I can, even though that they might know that, you know. But if they can show it, the athlete can feels like actually people appreciate it, you know, rather than just speaking about it. You know, obviously, if we can get more and more people to come to these events, we can get them better and better events. Obviously the Paralympics are jam-packed, but if we can get the intellectual INS Games more full, everybody, you know, it gives everybody an equal platform.
Yeah, all right. And since you have been swimming, you were a Paralympian as well by
Yeah.
yourself. So you must have seen the changes in the government policies and everything
Yeah.
with regard to the disabled people or the special needs and everything, the facilities. So which kind of policies do you think are beneficial for them, or do you think that there should be more changes?
Like what we said before about if you can see a disability, you
Yeah.
kind of appreciate it more. So there's a lot of maybe at the actual events, you know, with the volunteers, the support staff, as in the referees,
Yeah.
etc., to be maybe taught to more about how they need to approach the athletes, or not approach the athletes and approach the coach, so that the coach can communicate it in a way that the athlete understands. You know, because if we're here, for example, our swimmer got upset before, and that's just because somebody got too close to her personal space, you know, and she likes that space.
Yeah.
So, but if that was communicated to me beforehand, I could have dealt with it and we wouldn't have been upset at all, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just more that side. The events themselves are great. They are really good. It's just the final tweaks and how we can make it maybe more professional. Rather than the rules are great, but how we can get that professional element thrown in.
Yeah. And then the coverage on media, on different social media platform or TV channels, on newspapers for special events for the disabled people or intellectually impaired athletes and everything, is so far very less. So do you feel the media should pay more attention to these events?
Yeah, exactly. So if it's very much like people get excited when they can follow people,
Yeah.
you know. So if we were watching Tom Hamer, you can follow these athletes. You can relate to them. If you can say as a if Tom Hamer swam a world record and he got a bit of media, that's great. But if somebody then was following him after and saying, so what do you do for your training, or what do you eat, other athletes can then be like, get more inspiration rather than just watching him swim fast. They can get the inspiration from, actually I need to change my diet, or actually I need to train harder or longer, or so it's not only the just the events, but if they could follow the events and then speak to them after, do a follow-up interview and stuff.
Yes.
You'd get the public's imagination and get them actually, I'm going to go and watch that. I'm going to,
Yes.
That's only up the road. I'm going to go and see that. There's some French swimmers that I've been watching. Let's go and watch them in Paris. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I would take that as like media plays a very big role.
It plays a big
Yes.
role for people to get behind and really understand and support them, and big
Yeah,
role.
and like the sponsorship and the people getting associated with these kind of events, media can influence them as well
Yeah, definitely.
with their
So-
publicity.
so-
For example, if I talk about Michael Phelps, he has got so many sponsors behind him.
That's it.
So if media is covering him more, of course the sponsors will go to him.
Yeah.
And if media will focus on our intellectually impaired or the disabled people, the other sponsors will come to them.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if they say the people that sponsored this event, if they were shown more, they might actually want to put in more, or everybody kind of benefits. The whole thing flows more.
Yeah.
Just from some more coverage and more, getting their name out there as well as the athlete's name. So.
All right. And if I'll ask you to give out a message to the people who are not involved in sports, who are intellectually impaired or physically disabled, I would ask you to be more specific to the intellectually impaired ones. So what would you tell them to motivate them to take part in sports?
Yeah, just give it a go. There is absolutely nothing wrong in failing. I failed many times through my career. Ended up being double world champion. So if you just doesn't matter if you fail, as long as you come back. And for the coaches out there, just to seek help if you need it, or seek people that can help you coach that athlete. Don't think about the disability side, just the athlete better, which we would do for most athletes anyway. But if we can help learn and support, help them understand better, they're going to train better. It makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So seek that support, and the athletes just seek having a good time.
Sure.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.